Okay, we're ready.
Okay, we're
Okay,
good.
it's 5:30 now. I call the meeting to order. And first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Has everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes? If so, would somebody make a motion?
I think the first item is actually to approve the agenda.
Approve the agenda. We'll do that then. Thank you very much. Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll
Sure, you go.
make a motion to approve.
Okay, second.
Second.
Thank you. The motion's been passed. Go on to the next item here. Let's look approval of the minutes. We're gonna try that again. Somebody want to make a motion on the approval of the minutes, or are there any amendments somebody wants to make?
No, I move approval of the minutes.
Okay, thank you.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Minutes have been approved. Going on down to the next item here of the meeting, which is public comments. We have a number of people here sitting in the audience. They want to,
If I may,
yes, please, would you introduce yourself?
oh, yes, I'm Jose Camacho from Friends of Smith Cove and Rock the Rock. If I may proceed, I'm here because I am a formerly homeless person. I've been homeless a few times in my life and not in the distant past either. I survived a winter in the Midwest with a group of people. We survived in the periphery of an Amtrak station by staying warm in a freight elevator. That was kind of a public way to a parking lot of tops that provided heat. So we survived that winter, surviving around this Amtrak. And I left those people to travel around the country. Eventually, I ended up here. So it matters to me how people without power are treated. I'm a ex-paralegal. So I understand that law is the only thing that protects me when I otherwise have nothing. So with that in mind, I discovered inadvertently that Councilmember Anna Mockler on the agenda item of the Public Safety Committee of August 7th wanted to deter the homeless. I maintain a YouTube channel called Friends of Smith Cove, so if you want to see her testimony, it's there, Friends of Smith Cove's YouTube channel. She suggested putting up signs talking about water conservation and turning on the sprinklers at night, and that would scare away, deter the homeless away from the park. Tom Wolf chimed in, and he basically categorized homeless people as criminal vagrants, and Anna Mockler nodded vigorously, yes, she agreed, these people aren't getting services, so we need to treat them differently. Strongly object to that. I waited for an apology, never came, and I identified myself to her as a homeless person, never came. Recently, because the homeless community do not feel safe with her on the board of KCR, we asked her to step down, or KCR to ask her to step down. It's just, that's not the place for her when she has these ideas. So that's up in the air. Meanwhile, I've had occasion as a paralegal to find out, okay, something is seriously wrong when the person can talk about deterring the homeless from parks. And this is what's wrong. RCO, the Recreation and Conservation Office. Its grants to entities like the parks here are predicated on green space equity. There's no way that when they give the parks grants for restoration projects, for maintenance projects, that it is okay to be nice to house people, but to exclude rhetorically or actually to exclude the homeless community from parks. Now, Tom Wolf, police chief, says we have a curfew in parks, and I've seen that there's a sign at various parks, including Haddon, that basically tells the homeless, you can't camp here overnight. So the same warnings that the house community have not to camp overnight are the same warnings that apply to homeless people. What Anna Mockler wanted was something extra, and that is discrimination. That is not equity. So when the cross plan came out, I objected because it used very criminalizing, stigmatizing language like vagrant. Strongly objected to that. I cannot express to you how repulsive that was to me. But not just in terms of words, But that word is a policy. That policy was gotten rid of by the Supreme Court in 1972 in the case called Papa Cristo. That is a legal nullity. There's no reason for the chief to ever use that word, and especially not in a park, which is a public space. There's no artificial classification between vagrants and regular humans in parks. So what I am going to do is appeal to the RCO and ask them to review the Parks Administration in Bremerton so that they can assure us that green space equity for low-income people is a thing in the Parks Administration of the city of Bremerton. So you all are on notice. This isn't a vindictive thing. I'm not burning the village to the ground. This is a concept which must be incorporated in Bremerton. It must be incorporated in this cross plan because this town is wired to abuse the homeless. We've seen it. We've filmed it. Okay. We are not necessarily attractive people, right? We're not, because we're desperate, we're poor, some of us are sick. I was sick walking up here. So green space equity, there's literature on it, the RCO has taken that and adopted it. It's actually in its official documents. There's a document called SCORP. It's an acronym, I can't remember what for. So green space equity is a thing. It is how they judge their grant making process. They want to make sure there is green space equity in what they do and in the programs they fund. So I am hoping, as you do an overview of the cross plan, that this can become something that is incorporated into the plan, because it looks like we are out of luck with the council. They have circled the wagons around Anna Mockler. They don't feel there's anything wrong with what she said or was planning to do. We can't believe it. It's shocking. But so they're kind of in their own world. But maybe you guys can do something different.
Appreciate you coming to talk with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For having me.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to forget? Okay, thank you very much. And I'm sorry, when you were talking, I smiled a bit, about when you're commenting about your appearance, and I think you look pretty good. That's kind of how I do.
It's kind of a standing joke for me and the people who know.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify a little.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, cool. Okay, so it looks like we don't have anybody else to present tonight from the public. And we'll just go ahead on with the meeting agenda as written.
Commission Chair, if I could make a
Yes.
point, I probably should have said it during the approval of the agenda, but just so you're aware, the item on the under new business, pros plan overview and 6-year capital. My plan was to have copies of the new pros plan with me, and I don't today, so we're gonna be talking about it next month. So we won't actually be talking about the capital plan today.
Well, it got me off my butt and over here.
Yeah.
You experience,
Yeah.
so I don't mind.
Okay,
Thanks for coming though, because we do want the public to hear.
Thank you.
Okay, Forest Ridge Park update. Brian.
Good evening, everyone. I can see that there's some sunshine poking out in the mirrors or in the windows. So I see the rain has subsided for the day. That's good news. Yeah, Forest Ridge Park, as some of you may or may not know, we have installed the 2 gates. We moved the one from the Public Works gate down towards the Boy Scout Hall. And we had a new gate installed towards the end of the, not the end of the park, but the end of the active use park. As you can see, there it is right there. The new gates are installed with their reflective tape, signage, and so yeah, so good things happening up there at Forest Ridge. We did, like I said, we moved the gate from the Public Works side of things down next to the Boy Scout Hall. Then we moved some rocks up the road, as you'll see in the picture on the bottom right. And you can see the rocks that were placed up against First Street up there. So good stuff. And really with staff installing this, had a lot of support from staff, great experience for all of them, and so it was a good project, all in all. We are going to also be looking at doing the installation of the entrance gate. That might take a little bit of a backseat for a minute. There's a couple of other projects that are happening as well, and a few that have some time constraints affiliated with them. So it's not off the radar by any means. And we're still focused on getting that entrance gate put in.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Brian. I appreciate it. You're really good work. Okay, moving along, we look at Kitsap Lake renovations. Yeah, I think that's yours, Colette.
Yeah, we've been busy putting the finishing touches on the park, and that's included the voting kiosk that you see here that our crew built with new signage. So it's voting signage and also our life jacket program. And some other photos that I don't have to share, I'll bring to next month's meeting, or other items we're doing is installing topsoil where all the irrigation trenches were installed, and also kind of feathering out the grades to make things a little bit easier to maintain and mow. So we'll be hydro seeding next month, so we're getting ready for that. But the main thing on this slide is the playground. We've been talking about that the last few meetings. The preferred concept was ordered. We are expecting it to be delivered to the site and installation starting next month, mid-April. And the contractor will be installing both the posts and the slide. It's a little bit more complicated. I know we installed the slide at Haddon, but look at this slide here. I don't think we want to try and install that with volunteers. So they're going to take on the major pieces of the playground, and then on May 1st, our parks crew and any community members that would like to help will have sort of a community build day, and we'll be advertising that at council and also our website. So yeah, exciting stuff. We also have scheduled a ribbon cutting for June 26th, if you want to mark your calendar for that date. Yeah. Any questions on that?
I'm excited.
I'm excited too, yeah.
No,
I know-
I've got some to add. Nice work on this, Colette, and with the new kiosk that's there, we've really identified some individuals potential within the department, and they've been able to redo signs like up at Kiwanis and things like that. So some of these projects are now being accomplished in-house, and I just want that to be recognized as well.
And it's amazing what we find in the basement as well as we're continuing to clean out. 'Cause
Yeah.
The roof was in the basement, but the rest of it was built, and buying a structure like that brand new, which sounds crazy, but is $7,000 to $10,000.
Yeah, sure.
And so, yeah, we have somebody that has some really good carpentry skills on staff that built the rest of it around the
Awesome.
yeah.
I had a quick question. I know we have a new company that we're going through for this playground. Have they done community builds before?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
That'll be great.
Yeah, and their format's gonna be vastly different, it seems like.
Okay.
Simpler from the community members side. It sounds like they're going to take care of, like, we walked into Haddon with just posts
Mhm.
in place,
Mhm.
essentially.
Mhm.
They're gonna have quite a bit of it put in place, and so what the community will be doing will be more
Finishing touches.
simpler finishing touches.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
So it should be done that day.
Oh, cool.
And it's this design here,
Mhm.
Yep, this is it.
looks like a fun place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we're excited.
Cool.
Okay. Pendergast Park.
Yeah, we're working on towards a RCO grant that's due April 30th through the Youth Athletic Facility Program. The large cap grant is at $1.5 million. So we're gonna request that. And during the research, I found that this location actually qualifies for a reduced match, but it doesn't really help us because the cost of the project exceeds that. So at Haddon also, we had a reduced match, but the scope of work was larger than that. But it does help us in the grant application to show the need. So yeah, we're looking at probably closer to a $4 million project on this to do the two turf fields and the accessible pathways and restroom and plaza and parking improvements, accessibility improvements. Yeah, it's a big ticket item. Yeah. You want to add anything on the partnership or MOU or?
Yeah, just, I don't know I can't remember if we've talked about
Touched on it last.
the MOU, yeah, so working in partnership with the local Kitsap Alliance Football Club. And we'll be meeting with them the beginning of April. So I got some dates back today that I'll run by you. But really need to kind of find out what they see there as their involvement. Besides obviously benefiting from the use of it. So we're looking to them as a partner financially with this project as well. So what exactly that means, and then what does the balance look like, and how are we gonna try to fund that? So yeah, so I had some really good conversations so far with them. They're very excited about this project and having a facility like this in our area. So there's definitely some good momentum on that side of things.
And one thing we've done in years past is had a letter of support from the commission for grant applications. So that's something that we could do again this year, and could draft something up for you to review for next meeting.
Yeah.
That's okay.
That sounds great.
Yeah. There, if I might, could I ask one question? How, with the stands in the middle between the two fields, how are you gonna handle the disparity in the height?
This will be an accessible pathway here between the two levels.
That's a ramp.
So that's an accessible ramp between the two levels. And so these benches will be, these stands will be down at this level, and those will be up on the other level.
But a lot of the area will still be sloped.
Well, yeah.
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 Yeah, you're not gonna.
Yeah, the whole area
that
in the
much
center will
Yeah.
be a sloped hillside.
But there's an accessible route to each of
Yeah.
the fields. Yeah.
So let's just say the side on the left, as you look at, are they gonna be facing the field on the left?
Correct, yeah.
And the ones on the right are gonna be facing the field
Yeah.
on the right?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, there are two different elevations.
that's what I
Yeah.
was,
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
my brain was
Yeah,
struggling.
you're not-
yeah. Plants are always something hard to
You're not just gonna be watching someone's head run by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good question, yeah.
Yeah. There are no bad questions.
Any other questions?
So the other half was the dog
Yeah,
park?
Yeah,
we'll
the
move
next
on to
one.
that.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Excellent.
Well, it's not a high dollar capital project like the last one that you just viewed, but something that I've been working on with Leadership Kitsap, trying to do some dog park improvements there at Pendergast. Working in conjunction with them, they have gone out for a grant. They received $13,000 last week. We're in discussions of how to appropriate those funds. And these are some of the ideas that we're kind of kicking around. And I asked them to put this together tonight simply so I had something to present to you and just to bounce some ideas. If there's anything that is concerning from anyone, or things that you like or dislike, I would appreciate your feedback on. And I can take that back, but this is progressing pretty quickly. Um, their group is supposed to have this all wrapped up by May. We have materials coming in starting on Thursday. We're looking to build a perimeter path around here, so it provides some walkability to the area, which is sometimes, not in the greatest condition. It's muddy. I mean, we do live in Washington. We're looking at maybe some improvements to entrance gates, maybe diversifying that a little bit instead of having a choke point at just one area, maybe making two options. Um, Maybe moving wheel stops back a little bit so we have a safe corridor uh, for uh, for people and animals to safely travel to. We're trying to make this a lot more ADA friendly for a lot of folks here. That's kind of the goal in mind. And then it's in an area that just doesn't have trees. And we're looking to plant some trees. Obviously, we're under the understanding that it's going to take years for these trees to actually produce the shade that we're looking for. So in the interim, we're looking at some different shading options and some benches for people to rest and just kind of enjoy the facility with their animals. So um, some neat things and some improvements to some fencing. So like I said, I wanted to kind of bring this to your attention tonight and kind of hoping for some feedback. If I could get some, that'd be great.
Yeah, are the T-post fencing there, is that the example of the fencing that's gonna be on the perimeter?
That's what's currently in place.
Oh, okay.
And it's been kind of a mishmash of fencing that's there. It's been there for several years. Uh, I think we have better options that are out there. And like I said, we'll see how far this between volunteers, um, fr- and with the resources that they have and the money that they have, we're going to try to refine this plan to, what's more important to us. Do we take care of the exterior fencing? Do we do the shades? Do we do the perimeter fencing? What can we afford? How much plantings can we put in there? So that's a conversation I'm going to have with the group here on Thursday. But I was hoping to bring your feedback to that group on Thursday.
If, Mr. Chair, if I might, so, from a dog owner perspective who has walked this park a lot, it's not my default, but I have walked this a lot. That fencing is perfectly adequate from a dog owner perspective. It serves, I don't think you need, I think it's good to have the chain link entrances, the way they are now, so that you can control ingress and egress and everything, but as you're walking the park, that fence is just fine. I mean, I will certainly provide the same feedback to the Stephenson Canyon uh, development as well too, because I don't, I don't think we need to get into the very expensive chain link fence, 6 feet tall, whatever you're gonna, whatever you're doing. So that's one feedback I'd like to share. And then I have a question. Are you going to expand the dog park all the way to the end where the other baseball field was going to be, but will never make it because of drainage issues? So are you gonna go all the way around to on the big dog park side?
That is not being proposed at this time simply for the reasons that you just named, is because of the drainage issues that turns into mud and everything else. We're trying to actually consolidate a little bit better and make that perimeter path a lot more usable and a lot more user friendly.
Would, would it be terribly expensive to grade it into a pond-like feature with some, with some rocks in it to
Well,
help that.
I think I kind of need to explain this, is that this is it's a leadership Kitsap project. This is something that we are kind of sponsoring. This is not anything that's been identified within our capital improvement plan or anything that we have budgeted for. This is an outside agency who is doing some grassroots fundraising to improve the park. And so, that might be a better question for them and for you to provide your input to them. And then I'm happy to share that with them. Um, but I don't think that was really the focus at this time.
It could also be something that could get identified in the future as.
Absolutely.
Just have a comment about those shades. That looks like it would only be helpful at noon and not in the afternoon at all. So I don't know, maybe wanna put something on like the west side of like a bench or something, so people can actually get real shade.
Yeah, yeah. So there's talks of a few benches being put out there and a couple of shades. And this was the original idea from Leadership Kitsap. I have a little bit different idea of where those shades should go. And I'll share that with them on Thursday. Um, for instance, if you could see where the entrance is to the park and trying to make it ADA accessible to the center point area where the picnic table is, I think that's a perfect spot for a shade, and they haven't identified that yet. So there's some more tweaking that needs to be done with this, but yeah, just appreciate your input.
Yeah, and on that note, Brian, are they planning to, for the benches, are they planning to, basically have those, are mounted onto a slab, or are they gonna be able to be moved?
Yeah, so that's a discussion we had last week. Their idea at first was to throw them on the edge of a rock perimeter path. I suggested we bolt them down and once we define where they're at and get them on a concrete pad as opposed to having just anybody being able to move them around at their own convenience.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that for the shade, if it's like a triangle, yeah.
Yeah,
Those heavy chairs downtown, those are hard to move.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Yes, they are.
Well,
Brian,
as
did
a
you-
matter of fact, those are the same chairs, benches that are being proposed
Okay.
for this area. And we're looking to recycle those. These will not be an
You're talking about
expenditure
the
to the
new
city.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
These will be recycled materials.
So another thought you could propose to your group, is that perhaps you could, have a little bit of a fundraising to, purchase those benches by outside people, I mean, you could standardize what you're purchasing, but I myself wouldn't mind buying a bench for the park.
You could have your name on it.
Well, I don't need my name on it. I would just, oh, please don't. Yes, bad enough with the Lions Club down at Lions Park. Anyway, they might consider that as an approach.
Great idea. I appreciate that. I'll share that with them. And if anybody else has anything on that, otherwise that's about all I have.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
I think the next on the agenda is the outdoor storage area here at Sheridan Park. And Brian, I think you got that too.
Brian's a man tonight.
Yeah.
No. I'm gonna deflect that a little bit because I'm working alongside Colette on this. She's the one that has applied for the permit. I'm working with Public Works and the Utilities Department. And if you don't know exactly where that's at, you can see a picture of it right there. But outside of the window probably behind Tim. I'm gonna guess you're gonna be able to view exactly that area. So there's a couple of different components here to this project. What we're looking to do is do a demolition of this, but with inside this area, we have irrigation as well and power. So we're going to remove the power, we're going to remove the irrigation, and then we're going to remove the building. Once the building's removed, we're going to put an electrical box out there that's going to be able to support maybe some outdoor events or something to that nature. But it's going to increase opportunities there at Sheridan without a doubt. And this building is in rough shape. The roof is in bad shape, and take a look at it for yourself if you want to. But so some cool things coming in the near future for that area.
Is there anything in the shed right now?
It has been just storage stuff since, well, it's been there since the 1940s. So it's just been stuff that's been accumulated. There's really not anything of a value. I've had maintenance staff go through there. I've had event staff. I've had recreation staff go through there, take what they want. Rest of it, we pretty much emptied out or donate,
Perfect.
whatever.
Thank you, Brian. That answered my question. So the rest of anything else in there is garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when he says take what they want, I'm saying this because legal's here. When he says take what they want, take for your programming for city reuse.
Yes. Thank you for the clarification.
But yeah, so this really kind of came from us doing the project downstairs. It's like, okay, let's look in those doors. I mean, nobody's put anything in there and who knows how long. It's more of a hazard than useful at this point.
Makes sense to me.
You noted, Colette put our building permit number on there.
Nice, she's official.
So we're going through the process.
Yeah.
See, even though it had my name on it, Colette's still doing some work on this job too.
Yeah,
Going project.
it's totally, yeah. Okay.
We got any idea what kind of money we're looking at on this? Yeah.
It's going to depend on abatement costs. I think there's some opportunities in-house for us to do some training as well. We're looking at probably disposal and abatement. I'm not sure what those costs are going to be yet until we get those quotes back.
Yeah. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay, Tim, you're up next on Stephenson Canyon. Maybe you can talk about bench opportunities for.
Sure. Always opportunities. And maybe in a future meeting, we can talk about the bench program. Because that was one thing that we talked about soon after I got here. Is if you called up and wanted to put a bench somewhere, there's nothing that really says no. Like if it's hard for me, I'm black and white when it comes to messaging like a project like that. It just leaves a lot of gray area. So if we have a park where we feel there's too many benches, there's nothing in writing that says what we allow or don't allow. So I think one of those things we'd like to do is to formalize it and almost create a mapping system. And so if you want to have a bench at Kiwanis Park, these are the available spots. So something along that line. So it's a little more clear. But onto the dog park. As we mentioned, we had applied for a grant for $285,000 with the Department of Commerce, and we did receive that this year, which is awesome. The grant formally is for $294,000, and it's because there's some administrative expenses that are in there. But we did receive notification this last month that we received the $285,000 grant, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And so looking to that, I'll kind of get into that in a second, but we did Obviously, the survey results showed that there was a strong support for an off-leash area, whether people were dog owners or just dog lovers. They felt that that was a good use of that space. What we recently completed was some, I don't think we're talking about it later, right? No, the soil samples. So we had some soil samples done just because of the previous use of the site. We wanted to make sure that there wasn't contaminated soil that we were going to be utilizing. And so we were able to, through Public Works, get a soil sample completed with a contractor that they utilize. And so those results just came back last week. And so we received favorable results. So the soil is not at a level that it's gonna would create any harm or issues, so that's great. That was kind of a big concern of ours was, okay, well, let's make sure that we're not disturbing or putting something in a space that we shouldn't be doing. So that was good news to help us move forward. So the grant awards typically happen around July timeframe, when the new fiscal year gets going. And then at that point, probably late summer, early fall, we'll start that community-driven design steering committee. And then get some from those results and from that information, we'll bring somebody on board to help with the design process. And then just start moving forward with the project. So lots really kind of happened in the last 6 to 9 months on this project. And as Paulette said a number of times, this is probably the third or fourth pros plan that's identified this as a high priority. And so to not only be able to continue to make and partner to make improvements at Pendergast, this is going to be a great facility for the east side of Bremerton. And a good use of the space. Really.
It definitely looks like there's a lot of community excitement about it. Forward, people that were interested in joining in and being friends of it from the net. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, no, a lot of positive momentum. I've had people call, want to donate to the project, and that was before we received approval. And I took their name, but I don't want to have, whether it was $10 or $1,000, I don't want it to sit around until we have a legitimate project in hand. So, but I'll go back and make a phone call.
Yeah, and that's just like I say, if the money's important, but you see all the parks that have friends are just like people that have friends, they're helping,
Yeah, and part of our thought too with the design steering committee is maybe that can be kind of a stewardship group for the dog park once it opens up. So then we already have kind of a friends group built in to help just relay information and help manage would be great.
And if they're part of the initial design and of creating that ownership. of the space.
that's exactly, I mean, that's really well.
Ownership, yes, great.
Arbor Day.
Okay. Arbor Day is here again. Ignore the references to Evergreen Rotary Park. We are gonna be doing it at Lentz Landing
That's okay.
Oh,
Closer.
on the right, yeah. So, yeah, so it'll be Tuesday, April 28th. And we'll be hosting that. That happens to be the same day as our next commission meeting. So that will be at 3 p.m. We'll have our poet laureate there. She did a great poem last year. We did it at East. We had the tree at East Park last year. It was pretty cool. And then the mayor will say a few things, and then hopefully have some people there to help us put some dirt on a tree. And it's replacing a tree that was damaged at the site, and so kind of a good way to make sure that we continue establishing that canopy that we have down there. But yeah, so we'll have a little gathering and some goodies and Tuesday, April 28th at 3 PM. And so we'll make sure that I get information out to you ahead of time as well. If you're able to make it, that would be great.
You gonna have any Lents there? Is it?
Left family.
Huh?
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
I'm half deaf, I think said lunch.
Yeah.
So you're
Greg
gonna
goes up
send
for
the
lunch.
invitation.
Yeah, we'll plan to,
Yeah.
yeah, and if you have any particular contacts. That would
Sure.
help us out. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Family.
If there's any extended or anybody else that you think we need to give special invites to. That would be really great.
I was looking at this timeframe and kind of thinking about coming to the meeting and it's too short and all that. But I don't know whether the technical hurdles, what they would be in terms of doing some meeting sometime in the park somewhere. So either at the golf course perhaps, or just in a park. Can we be close enough to a hot spot or something so we can do that?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, Kylie, do our meetings have to be virtual as well?
There's some flexibility if you want to do something, in a, for a meeting where that's not, you don't have the capability. If you have the capability, you're, you know, you should make that effort, but I think there's some flexibility there. We can get. And I'm sorry, I didn't hear, when you're facing that way and the basketball's over here, I can't hear what you're saying, but I get it that you were talking about.
Close that door.
else.
Yes, I was thinking that it's kind of unusual. Go ahead and close that door.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of unusual. I mean, it's nice to have members of the public here. But I think the commission could do some outreach by actually meeting in the park once in a while.
Yeah,
You know,
I
and
think people
inviting
that
people
could
to
walk,
come to their park.
you know, to a meeting that,
Yeah.
if it moves around a little bit, so we could look into that. I think
Yeah,
that there's
yeah,
some
I don't-
flexibility there that allows that.
I think if you find
We did it
it
Friday.
kind of a nice chance for
Yeah.
people
Okay,
to come to
different,
the
yeah, virtual.
And it also would be, I mean, I don't know what the technical difficulty would be if we were close to some sort of hotspot or if that was sufficient or what, because I'm not.
Right, I mean, obviously it would make it difficult to maybe do presentations, but, maybe we can maybe tailor our agenda.
Yeah, it's not any different than this. I mean, if we had a room that, or a space that had, yeah, it would just be displaying. If we were in a park, that would be
A little different.
somewhat difficult, but some of us have tailgating supplies that would allow us to do something like
Wheel
that.
that TV out there.
There is that big TV that we're getting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a part.
Yeah.
There's always paper too.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
there is.
what I'm thinking.
Way back when.
It's like and I did do a focused meeting on like a particular park and the issues related to that, then
Mhm.
the park itself would be like the presentation. So
That
that
would
might
be
be
nice.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something to
Yeah.
think about. Yeah, something-
Yeah, or even like you said, if we did something out at Gold Mountain, I mean, it would be great to get you out during the Cascade redesign project that's going on right now, and we could have a presentation from someone with Columbia Hospitality or from Daryl, who's our general manager there.
And probably be easier to hook up with stuff.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That idea.
Difficult. We've actually had.
Sign me up.
Was there dinner?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, because anymore, I mean, we don't have to be sitting in this room to have this happen. We just need to have Wi-Fi.
Okay, something to think about. I like I say, want to make it more convenient for people to attend and we got some beautiful parks. It'd be nice to do it in that setting too, when it's not raining.
Yeah, no, it's a good idea.
Okay, sorry to go off on something. The pros plan, we're tabling till next time.
Yeah, so I'll have hard copies for you, and again, I'll give just a kind of general walkthrough, especially for the new commission members, but then really more kind of talk in terms of our 6-year capital plan.
Okay,
And the 6-year obviously is to match with our 6-year review of the pros plan. So the items that we'd love to be able to address or work on in the next 6 years.
Tim, can I ask then, since we have that little spot,
Mhm.
do you have anything to update us on filling the last commissioner seat?
No, we need to talk
Okay. Okay.
and figure out, I've got a couple applications, but we need to,
I'll set up some time
yeah.
after the meeting with you.
I don't know if I sent them even the new applications.
No.
Okay,
I'll-
yeah,
I'll meet.
we'll meet next week.
Okay,
Will be our normal meet week, I
Okay.
think, so let's plan to talk
we'll
about
do
it.
that. That sounds good.
Okay.
Okay, so then we're looking at this was good. I was glad that you were able to find this, the summary of the Parks and Recreation Task Force that happened some time ago.
Mhm.
And you were able to actually find something, so that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, and so I don't really have a whole lot to say on that besides, I found quite a few different files, which was nice to be able to see. I'd seen this, after seeing the summary, I remembered seeing it before. But it was one of those things, I think in the first week I was here, someone handed it to me and said, oh, hey, just here's some reading information, and I read it and forgot it. But the 3-page summary, yeah, there was quite a group that was put together. So look at, the changes that were made between 2008 and 2012 timeframe. And the effect it had on the department, and really since 2012, there's probably not a whole lot that's changed in the department since then. Besides just some annual adjustments, personnel type things. But and some smaller, probably for utilities, and some of the operating expenses, some adjustments have been made, but really not a whole lot has been done. It would be kind of fun to put something together too, to show, where we were at maybe in 2012 versus where we are now. And we can kind of do that as part of a budget discussion with this group as well. But yeah, just more general information, just so you're aware, it was something that came up during the comment period at the end of last meeting.
Mhm.
It was interesting to me. It looked like it was, it was instigated on the eve of a budget crisis with the city,
Mhm.
which is kind of where we're at. And it did, to me, look like a lot of the same issues that they identified as things we need to address are needing to be addressed now. I agree with
Mhm.
that too.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. So, and that was quite a few years ago. So it'd be nice if we could figure out some way to elevate those to, real goals and
Mhm.
things that the city council and others can take action on.
Yep.
Especially figuring out a reliable budget for the Parks Department itself that's not getting raided or anything like that.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was
Yeah.
very
It's
detective.
interesting.
And just so you know, since you all are newer, in that task force, there was the superintendent of schools and there was a representative of Olympic College there too,
Mhm.
so.
Okay.
So the education institutions were a part of that.
Yeah, it had some pretty big names on there. Okay, well, the last thing that I wanted to talk about here, I had the opportunity to meet with some of the commissioners as a way of just kind of getting to know them and also kind of getting to know what sorts of things that they were interested, passionate about, and what level of activity they wanted to really have. I think most people are not really, don't really come here to just listen to a meeting every week. They want to contribute. They have things to contribute and they are excited about doing different things. A lot of people offer some specific things that I really want to make sure that we have an opportunity for them to do. One of the things that came up, I think our last meeting, I found this kind of in my packet and stuff at the end of the meeting and shared it with some people. And I asked him, when did this get passed out? Tim's like, no, I don't know. That sort of thing. And I want to say that, when I brought this home and was musing on it or something, my wife mentioned, well, I made that. And this is actually like a year or so old, and it just fell out of the pages here somewhere and got mixed shuffled in, but it's a good idea.
So what is it?
It's
We can't
basically,
see it.
this was, and you were there,
Yeah,
this was the cleanup that we did here.
oh,
at Sheridan,
here, okay,
You know,
that's right.
that sort of thing,
Okay.
and it was one that members of the commission participated in. It was one that members of the public, the bicycle club was a part of it. And it was really quite exciting. It got a lot of people in talking about it. We had a little booth set up where we passed out Parks Department literature and things, which was kind of good.
Yeah.
And there was a few volunteers that came that were working the trails and stuff. Some of them were a little maybe over enthusiastic. I think we had some chainsaws going after invasive trees and stuff like that, or some crazy thing like that. And it did, and because and I think that there was a lot of lessons to be learned about that, but it's still kind of a good example of an exercise that you bring the public in, and maybe even people that are already friends of another park. You bring like that example, you bring them in, you give them a task, they jump at it. They really want to do it. We pitch in ourselves and do it. And it's pretty clear cut, pick up the garbage, do this, do that, and people are excited about doing those types of things. And that's the basis to kind of build a Friends of the Park, for a park that doesn't have any friends right now, that sort of thing. We experiment on a park where we know or a place where we know we can bring somebody in, and then make a date with, that's where you recruit the people for the next thing. Those people showed up and showed that they're interested and that they want to do it. So that's where you start the recruitment, and you say, bring a couple friends too. Bring a couple friends, because this is more than pulling weeds. That it's more than invasive ivy all over the place. It's more than picking up litter. It's friendship. It's bringing people along. It's having a heart for the park, and that's where an effective park for recruiting. The dog park has a natural constituency that can come along and do some of those things. One park group can help another park group if we kind of look at that. And so let's say that was on me, finding that thing again. But it really didn't take too long to organize. The Parks Department employees were really good at coordinating. They were really pretty good that we dumped a whole bunch of junk that we found out of the woods that were extra work for them. And that's something that's a lesson learned that we want to kind of think a little bit about, because we did have piles that were, at the end that were taller than me, and we found like a whole bunch of disposed paint that was illegally thrown in the bushes up here, that type of thing. But if we do a better job of communication and coordinating and things like that, we can make that kind of work for everybody. And again, I have some of the members of the commission are interested in doing that kind of stuff, pitching in with that. Others had some really good ideas, like in terms of researching a guide program and things like that. I thought that was an excellent idea. And some of it's a matter, it's not just doing, we got some things we can do. Some of it's getting some better information, going out, getting some better information, and coming back to the commission with a presentation and talking about it. Because we don't make any decisions on our own. It's not about me. It's not about any one of us. We make the decision by vote and by a group, that type of thing. That's the only way we make decisions. And so encouraging people to go out and follow their passion and find out information and come back here and things like that is a way of doing it. And some of it can be, I wanted to propose, can be done in kind of a sort of a subcommittee or task force type of framework, where one commissioner will say, like, I'm really passionate, I want to find out about this, I want to do something like that. They could pull another commissioner into it to help them. We don't want to have the whole pack because then we'll get into problems of having meetings outside of the meeting, you know. But one could certainly come along and help. And they could also bring partners in, people that have special expertise that are in the community as part of gathering that information. And the first steps of building those friends of the parks that are gonna be helping us love that park, you know, that sort of thing. And so I'm proposing that if a person wants to pursue pulling together something like this, person wants to do that, that they bring it to the commission. We have a vote on it. We say, go, check it out, come back. Or if it's a fully formed idea that we can discuss, debate, and vote on, then we go ahead and go do that. You know, we have a debate, we have a vote on it, and then we just do it, you know, that sort of thing. I think it'd make it our work more exciting, it'd make it more meaningful, and we leave something behind after our term that's a little bit better in terms of a group of people that are gonna continue and take care of the park. You know, that sort of thing. So that's kind of like the whole thing about subcommittees and stuff. And all it takes is somebody just saying like, hey, I'm interested in that. I'm interested in it, and pulling together a group to clean up the park. You don't have to do it yourself. We're all here to help. We're all here to help you. And we all have resources. We all know people that can be talked to, groups that are willing to jump in there and help. So you don't have to feel like you're doing it by yourself. I won't let you hang out there, okay? So, but this is your commission and all of your chances. If there's an idea you want to pursue, let's help you pursue it, you know? So, anyway, my piece. Anybody want to clean up a park?
I think I mentioned to you
Yeah.
when we were
Yeah.
having coffee, the master gardeners,
Yeah.
they could be involved with something like that. They have a weekly newsletter, and right now all the stewardship stuff is just on Bainbridge Island, so we could probably add like Bremerton to that.
I think that's an excellent idea. We've been kind of flopping around a little bit. I mean, the blueberry farm is really nice. We talked about that in a second. Like there were other sites, other parks that did have those sites. The person that really shepherded those ideas moved on, you know, whatever, we lost track. And so they would be a good resource to the community, kind of pull back and see if they want to shepherd a couple of spots, maybe it happened, like there was, or a couple of spots, maybe at some of the other parks and things like that, like there was, you know.
Yeah,
Some
or
of,
even just advertising on the
yeah,
Master Gardener newsletter.
yes, and just see if we can get some people in that you could talk with, you know, that sort of thing. In terms of things like the guides and stuff, we have some precedents for that. And that's an excellent area that we could team up with the Historical Society downtown, is see if we can get some people that are passionate about talking about local history. And it doesn't have to be local history like we talked about. The guide can bring whatever he has to the tour. The tour in the park could be about how the park fits in the context of local history. The tour of the park could also be about this tree and what this species is, this plant and what this is, and things like that. It could be what this expertise of the guide, the volunteer is, you know. And I do think that's an excellent way to kind of bring people in. Tacoma every Saturday, Point Defiance Park has a guide that'll take you around the park. Their walks are a little ambitious. I think that they were like 5 miles or something like that. But they do it every Saturday with volunteers and stuff. And we could do it once a month, maybe, you know, if we had enough volunteers and people that were excited about it. Some of the other things also, for example, the Historical Society once a year has a wonderful event where they have kind of like the living museums like Williamsburg and things like that. they have volunteers that do, that research the history of an individual in the cemetery, the Pioneer Cemetery there. And then they're standing by the graveside and they play in character that person and the history of that person.
Huh.
Well, wouldn't that be nice to add Ivy Green Cemetery? You know, there's so much history. There's so many Congressional Medal of Honor winners buried there. There's Civil War veterans. There's pioneers buried there. Wouldn't that be kind of a nice, and it was one of the more popular tours back when Josh was leading people around the Ivy Green Cemetery was, as they had a lot of people at that particular one. But just to add that dimension, wouldn't it be kind of fun to do, you know, that sort of thing? And you find a volunteer, they research somebody or get a chance to be a local thespian and talk about the life of that person and what that was like, you know, and I mean, it just goes on and on. Bremerton's got lots of history. There's lots of interesting things. And we have at Steps of the Canyon, a lot of places. There's a lot of places in Bremerton. There's wonderful forest things if you get on your knees and kind of look at it. You know, that sort of thing. Lots of trees of different things to look at. And so that's the opportunity we have. And it also brings in the public. That's the whole point. It also brings in the public. So I'm kind of like talking two different ways of really kind of pulling the public in to show off our parks and be friends to the parks, you know. So one of them looking into basics, which we're so understaffed, we don't have the manpower to do that really. But if volunteers are willing to help us with that, that's something that benefits everybody, even outside the park. It benefits everybody in our whole environment. And it just is a wonderful type of thing to do because it makes the feel ownership. Anyway, I can go on forever. So that's just some thoughts I've been, thinking about for a while, and I just really anything that I can do to encourage people to think about that, to pick a project they want to work on and go forward. Yeah, you don't have to do it alone. Like I said, I'll help out any way that I can. I'll show up to pick up weeds. We can talk about connections in town, etc. Whatever, and to help you to get that going. But I really encourage, and people to own those projects. So, okay.
So,
Yes.
Mr. Chair, if I might, I have mentioned here before already but I will share again my particular passion these days around, aside from the dog parks, I like the dog parks, but is the Bremerton Senior Center.
Oh, yeah.
And it's in desperate need of replacement, I believe, and it really needs to be relocated. And the chair and I had quite a conversation about it. We did a lot of walking around and talked about the Trails Project and the Senior Center. And I've had conversations since then, and I don't, just so the commission knows, I've been talking to some people about that, and I don't want to get too far out in front of the commission either, and I'll certainly bring back what I hear as well to the commission whenever it's appropriate, and I'll stay in touch with you in particular on some of these conversations too, but just so you know, and if you want to be involved in it, I'd love to have more people involved in it.
Well, Joan has a particular interest in interface with the school district because of her background.
Yeah.
And we did walk around the school district. And of course, I toured her up at my favorite little project, the little green build up there, that sort of thing. And so, I mean, I know that you're working on that also, that sort of thing, but I would encourage you to work with Tim a little bit on ideas around that green belt and stuff, because he's already working on that.
Well, and since we talked, there's a new RFP in town, with the library and, the YMCA. They've got a joint RFP out there. They want to hire somebody to develop the plan, develop a bond. So there's a lot of movement going on, particularly around the school district property, so I'm certainly reminding people of the school district's primary mission, which is children and education, and they have a particular need to do long-term planning. Because once the school district sells a property, it never comes back, and if they have a need in the future, that puts those properties out of reach. I mean, it puts the cost of a future thing way out of reach because you'd have to acquire new land. So they have a different perspective. And we kind of need to keep respecting that.
I think we covered everything else on the meeting, except for commissioners' comments. So we'll just kind of go around the room and stuff. Morgan, if you could kind of start out.
Alex,
Alex, I'm sorry. Alex,
Morgan is my first
I
name.
need to cross that out, I think. Thank you, Alex.
I guess just going off of what you mentioned, since we'll talk about the pros plan next month, maybe we can go into it with like a more compassionate view to the unhoused population and kind of examine how they're described in the pros plan.
Just one thing, I believe I mentioned previously that I had lived close to Patton Park. And so I'm there frequently, and I, on more than one occasion, have contacted Tim with some issues that I found in terms of garbage and debris and things like that in the park. The next time I walk it, it's been taken care of, but I was curious if there's any possibility of putting up any form of like a small sign for the general public to see saying, if you have any concerns or if you notice anything, notify this number, a general purpose number, rather than someone having to contact, you directly. Is that a possibility of doing?
Would Bremerton 1 be the number to?
That would be probably the best route is, and I think there probably could be a better education on Bremer. I don't know how many people in the room know what Bremerton 1 is. It's an app that the city has to basically report issues, concerns. And then there's a central channel it goes into, and then they disseminate the information to whoever it's most relevant to. That's probably the best route. And then it's also tracking that progress along the way, which is good. Both on the side to make sure that whatever is reported is taken care of. But on the flip side too, it helps us justify outside of the daily things that we're doing, all the extra stuff that comes in. So it's good for reporting purposes too. But yeah, that's probably the best route. And I think we now have, or we're pretty close to having all parks with rural signs that have our phone number, but it's not, it's a lot of things on a small scale too. So there's probably other ways that we could try to.
Yeah, if we could maybe add a
help
QR
promote
code
that,
on
yeah.
that sign that would direct you to the Bremerton
Yeah.
app, that might be
Yeah.
helpful.
Well,
Yeah,
and
even
I'd like to remind everyone as well is that we do have staff at that park every day, and whether you're there 15 minutes before our staff gets there, it's not an emergency that you call it in. I mean, there's a chance that it's going to get picked up that day anyways. But if it's something that is egregious or, like somebody has dumped a whole bunch of stuff within the parking lot, or if there's something that's outside that maybe staff has missed over a day or two, yeah, please let us know about that.
That's good.
I got nothing for the group tonight.
Kathleen?
Catherine,
Catherine? Aye.
I enjoyed our walk and I enjoyed chatting. It was nice to show you in detail more of what's going on. And it'd be fun to do that too. Y'all in your favorite parks, so.
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, you've been working at that park and been a friend of that park for so long.
20 years.
Yeah, and I think that kind
Which part?
of.
Forest Ridge.
Okay, that's right.
Plus,
Yeah.
plus you volunteered, to work here and things like that. That's the kind of thing I think that we do. We kind of build momentum,
Yeah,
like a snowball going downhill. Volunteers kind of going from site to site. Some of the sites they're the ones that they're close to their heart. Some are maybe not so
Right.
much, but we kind of pull them all along. So
Yeah.
that's
thank you
kinda-
for doing that. I appreciate it.
Joan,
I've said my piece then.
I said more than enough. I happened to mention that, to some of them, my daughter recently did a pop-up with a bookshop, so like a good father, I bought a book. And I just wanna recommend this book. It's 10 years or so old, but it's really about the idea of trees. It's about and not only trees as a concept, trees, how we relate to each other, biological and historical trees throughout the world, that sort of thing. And so, good read.
Thank you.
A book for the month.
Can I take a look at it?
Yes, yes.
My daughter is
Oh, go ahead.
working on study about trees.
Yeah, it's a good one to start out with, I think. I've only gotten through it, but
Thank you.
yeah, it's a cool book. Okay, if there's no other business, we plowed right through that agenda tonight and done a good job, and so I'll go ahead and call the end of the meeting, and hope you guys are safe and have a good rest of your month. Contact me if anybody has any questions or anything
Right.
that I've talked about that you want to talk about further. And Ben, we're getting together.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good.
See you, Brian.
Have a good night.
Bye, Brian.